What's going on, guys? It is Spencer Gilmore here, back with another YouTube video for the Hair Rescue YouTube channel. Really excited about this one. Today we're just going to be talking about how you can fix your hair loss, maybe without going into the pharmaceutical route, as well as without even really buying a lot of products. These are things you want to do first, really, to get your body healed from the inside out, because your hair, skin, and nails is a reflection of maybe how well your internal systems are functioning. So if your sleep is really lackluster, your nutrition and diet is horrible, you have poor exercise routine, your micronutrients are really out of balance, you're not getting enough sunlight exposure, these are all things that can induce more hair loss than you would normally have from maybe your hormones. So you're losing your hair and you start taking finasteride to save it, but what they don't tell you is you're chemically castrating yourself to keep your hairline. Finasteride, which was first initially developed for prostate issues in men and as a contraceptive in men, which was then turned into a hair loss treatment when microdosed, which is what finasteride is and we know today. Here's ways you can actually fix your hair loss without destroying or altering your hormones. So what's going to cause hair loss? Well, the medical industry really has convinced you that DHT is always the enemy, which is not always entirely true. DHT isn't the primary cause of hair loss, it's just a factor in most cases. Now, if you're someone who's been diagnosed with things like androgenic alopecia, usually that is DHT related, but some studies have even shown increasing testosterone and DHT can improve hair density in certain men. So like it says there, in certain men, it's not a one size fits all. So DHT might not always be the culprit, because DHT is actually very crucial for your facial hair development, your bone structure in your face, and it can help with your hair development in the early stages. But it can be detrimental in the future, and that's why things like finasteride are so popularized today, because they do usually stop hair shedding, but they can come at a price for a certain subset of men who take them. So why does finasteride fail? Well, finasteride blocks DHT by inhibiting the 5-alpha reductase enzyme. The problem is this enzyme is crucial for proper brain function, sexual performance, mood regulation, muscle building, and mental clarity. So you can be trading your hairline for your masculinity in a lot of these situations, and that's why I'm always so weary, especially recommending things like finasteride and dutasteride for children who are around the age of 18. I would love to see people wait till they're at least 25, the brain's fully developed. You can't start losing your hair before you're 25, so when you're jumping on those drugs at such a young age, I just really try to steer clear of it and look for other alternatives on the market. Here's a quick little snippet from Sexual Side Effects of 5-alpha reductase inhibitors, finasteride and dutasteride, a comprehensive review. I'm just going to put up just a little screenshot of this from a PubMed article. Here's things that could be actually killing your hair. Hair loss is a primary symptom of things like constant stress, poor sleep quality, nutrient deficiencies, environmental toxins, chronic inflammation, and heavy metal exposure. So your hair is simply telling you that maybe your lifestyle is toxic. And I definitely agree that a lot of this can play a factor. So if you are someone who's definitely losing their hair at a premature age, or you're someone who is starting to see hair shedding, a lot of these first things can really be fixed with diet, exercise, and removing a lot of toxins from the products that you're putting on your skin, the water you're drinking, where you're sleeping, where you're hanging out, air filters, air quality, all of these things that can be solved with products that I'm not selling, that a lot of hair loss companies aren't selling, things that you can buy on Amazon, from shower filters to buying filtered water, reverse osmosis, getting a water softener for your house, ditching chemical-based products and using more natural solutions, using ingredients that you can pronounce. The next thing is sleep. Sleep is so important to your hair health because it affects your stress. Chronic mouth breathing and poor sleep can absolutely destroy your hair. It increases cortisol, which is the testosterone enemy, disrupting hormone production, reducing growth hormone, imperative nutrient delivery, and elevating inflammation. So one of the great things about that is improving your growth hormone secretion. Growth hormone is an absolutely crucial thing when it comes for healthy hair. My father, when he started taking growth hormone at the age of 55, I believe, he saw a huge spike in his hair. It was absolutely crazy. He's had 2 hair transplants, but the hair that was already on his head started turning that light brown color again after he was supplementing HGH for a few months. So it's crazy how imperative that hormone is for your hair health. And if you're getting poor sleep, your body's not producing enough HGH when you're sleeping, and it's probably resulting in higher cortisol levels, higher stress, less stress tolerance, and this can lead to hair shedding. Another thing is going to be, how do heavy metals affect hair loss? Heavy metals are silent hair killers, and one way that they enter your body can be from contaminated water, low-quality seafood, conventional deodorants. That's why I would always recommend ditching those harmful deodorants. Old Spice is probably not your friend. Toothpaste as well, industrial exposure. These toxins disrupt enzyme pathways, block nutrient absorption, trigger autoimmune responses, and damage hair follicles directly. So most doctors really never test for this, and that's a lot of the reasons why your hair pay the price, especially when you go in at a young age and they just say, oh, my hair's falling out. Well, you're probably right for minoxidil and finasteride. These should not be the first things that you try. There are so many things out there that you should be implementing first, and then you can look at those as the last resort. Because once again, all these treatments, they're not a game where you can get in and get out. It's not you're playing blackjack at the casino in Vegas and you just have to keep playing with your winnings. You're stuck at the table because the second you get off finasteride, which was putting a band-aid over your wound, after some time you will begin to see shedding again, and it will revert back to maybe where you were before you even started the drugs. How does stress affect your hair loss as well? Chronic stress will destroy your hair. When constantly stressed, your cortisol rises, your testosterone drops, your follicular blood flow decreases, your nutrient delivery fails, and your growth cycle gets disrupted. Modern life has really been keeping men in a fight or flight mode, and your body thinks survival trumps hair growth. Yeah, it's gonna get rid of non-essential things. So it's kind of like when you get into an ice bath, the blood flow from your extremities rushes into your heart. That's because it's like, oh, well, we need to keep the heartbeat going. We need to keep all these internal organs functioning properly. We need to keep the brain functioning properly. But, if we lose a finger or a toe or a foot, we're still alive. So, survival of the fittest. Your hair is one of the first things to go when your nutrients and your stress and your cortisol are all disrupted. So what's the good news about all this stuff? You can reverse your hair loss naturally without sacrificing your testosterone and using things like DHT inhibitors. Fix your sleep quality. Start with possibly mouth taping at night. Avoid screens 2 hours before sleeping. If that's tough for you, at least an hour before sleeping. So I would recommend reading a book and using red light and blue light blocking glasses. Get 7 to 9 hours of completely uninterrupted sleep. This is imperative. 7 hours should really be anybody's minimum. I can't tell you the amount of time since I've been tracking my sleep. If it's not at 7, I'm probably getting less than an 80 sleep score, which an 80 sleep score is rested, but not great. You want to black out. Other things that you can do is really try to black out all of the light in your room, get blackout curtains, shut all the lights off, make sure there's no little small blue lights or green lights from maybe a Wi-Fi router in your room. Drop the temperature in the room to 68 degrees if possible. I know it's expensive out there, but that's really the ideal temperature. You can use things like 8 Sleep if you can afford it. I think that's a fantastic product for helping your body regulate its temperature at night and if your temperature is fluctuating all the time. Another thing that a lot of people don't talk about is eating right before you go to bed. When you go to bed, and the fastest way to fall into deep sleep and REM sleep is to not be eating food directly before you go to sleep. I would try to avoid eating 2 hours before bed. So if you're gonna go to sleep at 10 p.m., try not to eat after 8 p.m. Have dinner at 7:30, be done at 8, and maybe go for a quick 10-minute walk after you eat, because if you're eating right before you go to bed, your body has to digest that food and spend a lot of energy digesting that food before it can start really falling into deep, restful REM sleep. I've noticed this a ton when I started tracking my sleep with my watch. It would take 3 or 4 hours before my body maybe hit its first REM cycle if I ate food, within 30, 45 minutes of when I go to sleep. Because when you're eating all this food, your resting heart rate is elevated. What happens is once your body initially digests some of that food, gets it out of your stomach, your resting heart rate will begin to slow, and then your body can begin to slow down its functions. And that's why not watching, super exciting movies right before bed, being on your phones, doom scrolling right before bed and then putting it over and then trying to fall asleep. Your body has to rest and calm for 10, 15, 20, 30 minutes before you fall asleep. And that's why a lot of times people are tossing and turning and say they can't fall asleep. It's because their mind is awake and their body is digesting a lot of food. I'm not a huge fan of melatonin. You can use it, but there have been some interesting studies with mice and how that can affect your testicular size if you take a shit ton of melatonin all the time. So I like things like magnesium. I think magnesium glycinate right before bed can be very helpful with relaxing the body. And then on the next thing was going to be eliminate your toxic exposure. Filter your drinking water and your shower water, cooking cast iron and stainless steel pans. Use natural cleaning products if possible. Switch to glass containers and avoid all those heavy processed foods and nasty food dyes. They've been linking now like red 40, blue 1, yellow 1 to ADHD in kids, and it's been reading the literature on that is pretty startling to say the least, and how they're giving kids red 40 in the morning, and they give other kids eggs in the morning, and their energy levels, their cortisol levels, their blood sugar levels are just through the roof with this red 40. It's almost like mimicking ADHD in your body. On top of this, another point is to optimize your nutrition. Focus on the hair building nutrients as well. Biotin for eggs, zinc from oysters, vitamin D for cod liver, collagen from bone broth, and selenium from wild salmon. These are all fantastic things to help with hair growth. Manage your stress, incorporate breath work or meditation into your daily practice. Movement is nature. Get regular sunlight exposure and even try cold exposure therapy. High cortisol is going to equal low testosterone, which is going to equal hair loss. And lastly, I think these things are all pretty helpful. Using effective natural topicals. Now, this is something that I think everyone should start with immediately once they've, done all of those things to initially stop the bleeding, because the first thing you really have to do is stop the bleeding. It's just like if you're spending too much money, you got to figure out your budget first before you can really start saving a bunch of money. Shampoo using things that possibly contain ketoconazole, or just get a natural alternative with ingredients that you can pronounce. I like Carina Organics on Amazon. It's a little bit more expensive, but their ingredients are fantastic. It's a super gentle, non-toxic shampoo and conditioner. A scalp massage for 5 minutes daily. That just increases blood flow to the scalp, which makes the environment more conducive for hair growth. It circulates the blood flow, gets more nutrients to the hair follicles. Red light therapy, low-level laser therapy, it seems from the literature has been fantastic for hair growth. Compared to placebo trials, there was like a 34% increase in hair density, or hair diameter, I believe, which is absolutely amazing, 34%. I think you can get some of these effects from just getting, 20 minutes of sun exposure directly to your scalp on a daily basis. We don't get enough of that since we're in the inside world. Another thing interesting, I've never personally done this, is egg yolk applied twice a week. I do love derma rolling and microneedling once a week. I think that those are fantastic. And another interesting thing is rosemary water, proven to be about as effective as 2% minoxidil without the side effects. Rosemary oil, I think, is fantastic. Same thing with sapmeadow and jojoba oil. I think all those can be great for natural hair growth products that are very cheap on Amazon or other websites that sell them. Basically, the hard truth of this whole entire video is that hair loss is your body's way of telling you that you are neglecting your health. Taking a pill is just avoiding the responsibility. And the real reason you need to do this is to fix the root cause and not just the symptoms. And that's what I was talking about with putting a Band-Aid on your wound. If you ever stop those things, or you're somehow build up a tolerance to it, or it gets worse because you never fix the underlying root cause, those pills and pharmaceutical interventions may not do the trick anymore. And then you're in a whole other world of hurt, because maybe you have to up the dose, more side effects, yada, yada. You get the point. Nobody wants that. Always about affecting the root cause. And usually when you see things like eczema, hair loss, psoriasis, autoimmune diseases, a lot of acne. These are things that are telling you that your gut microbiome is out of whack, blood sugar levels are out of whack, your dopamine is out of whack, your internal body is not functioning the way it should be, and you need to try to fix that. An elimination diet is a fantastic way to do it, trying to remove the toxins in your lifestyle from water, from products, from the air that we breathe. All of these things can affect your hair. Essentially, I'm just saying try to get as healthy as possible, and it will likely affect your hair growth without having to do the pharmaceutical interventions. All right, I think that has been it for this video. Thank you for watching. If you made it this far, this is the very end, like and subscribe, leave a comment, share the video with your friends and family. Thanks for watching.